It has blown the title race wide open.
You know what? I know this is a big call.
Like, they should be doing way better than they have been.
I remember and it wasn't. So.
Okay.
I think he signed a 3-year deal at Western Sydney.
This is probably never going to happen again.
When I said it, I had to look at my notes again because I went, it can't be right.
That's why it's the greatest league in the world.
He is a real smoky now that I think could be brought into the squad.
Graham Arnold used to sell the shirt
Yeah.
to these blokes.
Yeah.
They're not coming over unless you sell it to.
Awesome. And then watch him here. I love the reaction after it goes in and he comes back and said, see, I told you, just do what I say.
Sorry, I don't want to bring it up every time.
Sega was also open and didn't get on the pitch.
Look, once again, we will...
Special. Unbelievable! This, ladies and gentlemen, is football.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Total A-Leagues. I'm Vince Rugari, Tommy Oar, Daniel McBreen. Do you remember me?
He's back. Here we
Hello,
go.
boys.
Great to have you back.
How was the trip?
Good to be back. Trip was outstanding.
Yep.
The last 2 weeks I've been incredibly sick, so that was a small price to pay for one of the great work trips of my life.
Yeah.
No sympathy.
Very jealous.
Yeah, like it was just so good.
Much A-League on in Europe?
Surprisingly,
Yeah.
yes, in the
Great.
mornings. I think it's the longest. I think I've ever spent so long in Europe before in terms of one unbroken streak. And I tell you what, the mornings are like, it wasn't always easy during the Winter Olympics because I was very busy. But mate, you wake up and there's like, oh, there's a game on.
Yeah.
You might be able to sneak in a half while I'm eating breakfast and all that. That's how committed I am.
Wow.
So,
Good stuff.
Well, it's good
Mate.
to have you back, mate.
thank you very much, boys. Thank you. Great to be back as well. And thanks to James Dodd for looking after the show while I was gone as well. Good work, Doddy.
Yeah, but you're out now, so.
It's ruthless.
All right, boys, let's launch into our best moments of round 21.
Yep.
21, that's where we're at. I feel like I've missed a chunk, but I'll get up to speed quickly. Macca, you can kick us off.
Yeah, look, I'm going to go against the Jets this week. Tommy, unlucky
Yep.
for you. It's the Auckland win, and the reason I like this is because it has blown the title race wide open. If the Jets won this game, it was, you would almost say over, but this is going to see them both face off against the same 5 teams with the run into the Premier's plate. It was a dominant performance with possession from the Jets, but clinically and with the more decisive moments, Auckland showed what they showed us last year, where they get it in front and then they just deny the opposition. I think only 1 shot on target in the whole match for this Newcastle Jets team. So it sets up a really enticing last 5 weeks.
It was an absolute masterclass of a performance from Auckland, this one, you've got to say. I think that the last few months, Auckland, it looks like this is the Auckland of old. I think there was a little bit of a wobble maybe after their strong start to the season, but you said it, the title race is anyone's guess now.
Yeah, and I think the neutral will want to see the Jets get up in this title race as well, but I think for
The neutral Aussie.
The neutral Aussie. Yeah. I mean, well, some Kiwis as well, Wellington fans as well, probably are on board with that. But any neutral will want the title race to go for as long as possible and go to the wire as well. So from that perspective, good result. And it's going to be a crazy last few weeks. Thomas, your go.
Yeah, for me, it was victory. I think now 6 games unbeaten, but an absolute formidable performance against MacArthur. Juan Mata with 2 assists again. And I just feel like victory in recent times has gone to another gear. Denny Genre was fantastic in this game. Great finish, as we can see there. But I think all the signs for victory, with Sydney FC starting to wobble, I think they'll have their eye on that 3rd place going into the last 6 games of the season.
Well, I'm with you. I think they're just really starting to hit their straps and coming into the right end of the season. Juan Mata, we're seeing the best of him now after having a couple of years off football realistically. And these guys can have a big say in the finals as well because they go to play the top 2 teams. They might be looking to say, yeah, we want to jump Sydney, be 3rd, and anyone who meets them in the finals will be a little bit shaky.
Yep.
Yeah. Very good. Mine is the goal by Ethan Alagich for Adelaide United against the Mariners. I really enjoyed this game on the weekend. End-to-end, the Mariners were good value, but this was a really well-taken goal and one that shakes up, I don't know. The good thing about this goal is that there is still a feasible bridge between the bottom half of the ladder and the top half. Had the Mariners got away with that one, there might have been a little bit of a breach there that would make it difficult for anyone to sneak in. But the fact that that's happened, talking about before about extending the title race and all that sort of stuff, just keeps the tension alive, which I think is really important.
No one would have cheered that goal more than Aurelio Vidmar, I suspect. Knowing that, what the opportunity it gives them, and obviously should have known that your first one back would have been for an Adelaide.
Sue me. Guilty as charged. Speaking of Aurelio Vidmar and Melbourne City, last night, as we're recording this, a huge result for them, 1-0 over Sydney FC, Macca.
Yep.
This changes how much for City, do you think?
Massive. Oh, this win here, this 3 points, changes the outlook incredibly. If they lost, this was going to be a real uphill battle. Now, with this 3 points, it is in their hands. They now play the bottom 4 teams in the league and the Mariners, who sit above them in 6th for that extra game in hand that they have got to play. So it's in their hands again now. Without this win and Max Caputo's goal, getting the win, they were on struggle street. They were in a world of hurt. But they got the job done against Sydney. I thought they deserved the win. They probably could have scored some more goals. Max Caputo getting a goal, which will relieve him a little bit because he's had a little bit of a tough time this season as the season's gone on. But I think now they're favourites to squeeze into the 6.
I completely agree. I think this was as good as they have played in the A-League for months, really, if you think about the run that they've been on and what this means, not only for the 3 points, but just for their confidence.
Yeah.
So I think this is a team in recent times that has just been completely void of confidence in the A-League. And to get a win, a statement win away from home against Sydney FC, who are in 3rd, I think that now they're going to take this and kind of go up the table. And, I know this is a big call because they're still obviously not in the finals places, but with the quality they got in their squad, they're not a team you want to come up against in finals because they are capable of beating anyone.
No, well, you look at that starting 11 and you add confidence to these players, and it's like they should be doing way better than they have been. Teague, Arzani, Yunus,
Behic and Atkinson.
Exactly.
Atkinson, yeah.
We're talking about some of the best players in the league in their positions.
Yeah.
So,
and Caputo making a late run maybe for Golden Boot. He's only 2 off now.
Well, we'd say he's had a difficult season. He's two away from Golden Boot.
I really hope he's who I sold Barbarouses for. I genuinely, we spoke about this the other day, I cannot remember who it was.
I remember and it wasn't. So.
Okay, good.
Take that on authority.
Yeah, very good. Speaking of Nathaniel Atkinson, we're going to hear from him last night on the importance of that win for Melbourne City.
Oh, it's massive, obviously. The season that we've had, it hasn't gone our way, and we knew we needed to win today. If we didn't win today, it was going to be a tough road up the ladder. It's big for our confidence. Obviously, we didn't convert our win in Asia, so it was good to come back and start off with a win.
So, big areas ahead for Melbourne City, a big test for them to see if they can sneak back into the 6 in the coming weeks. Boys, I'm with you. I wouldn't want to be playing them if they do happen to sneak back in, and I wouldn't write them off given the amount of quality that's there in that squad, and if they can get the vibes right, anything can happen in this bloody league. So.
And Nate Atkinson, I think, is worth a shout-out. Obviously, saw his interview then, but I think he was fantastic last night, and Aurelio Vidmar spoke about him after the game. I think that he was carrying a groin injury, we found out, for the first few months of the season. And in the last month or two, it feels like he's gone up a gear.
Yep.
World Cup on the horizon. I think he has been a key player for them, obviously, for a long time. But I think he will be a big part of what they're going to do in the next few months.
We'll talk about that very soon.
Yeah.
For now, probably the big yarn of the week that came out through Code Sports is the talk of Ufuk Talay potentially being awarded a contract for Western Sydney Wanderers next season. He's obviously the Sydney FC coach. There's some question marks about whether he will be there next season. A lot of Sydney FC fans didn't want him to be there right now. And I don't know what to make of this one, boys. This seems like classic Wanderers behaviour in a derogatory way, I would have to say. Like just to, when you're trying to figure out what our direction is as a club, just go and get the other mob's coach, and then we're going to get a football director in later, and I guess we're going to make it all work. I don't know. I don't know. And that's no disrespect to Ufuk Talay as well, who I think is a good coach, but I'm just not sure this is a good move for anyone involved, to be honest.
Well, the timing of this is interesting. I think, obviously, there's a Sydney derby only a couple of weeks away as well, which will be an interesting one. But I think it's last night as well. If Sydney FC went on to win that game, I think this probably would have taken a back seat and everyone thought, they're just going to get on with the job. But not winning that game, that only makes the noises louder about, is the team giving it their all and is this a distraction and all these types of things. And the press conference that he did that you were talking about to address those rumours, he spoke, you listen to a lot of the language and he's talking about finishing well. It is alluding to the fact that he might not be around next season, and it only kind of gives more strength to those rumours that he might be going there, and that would be something if he was to go across.
Let's hear it now, and then Mac, I want to know what your read on this this performance from Ufuk Talay is on these rumours.
Yeah, look, no conversations have happened, so the reality is this is what makes the game go around. Speculation, rumours, I think this is the best part of it. Like players, when they're off contract, I'm an off-contract coach at the end of the season, but like I said, my focus is to finish well here. We want to go all the way. I think we're in a great position to do that, so that's the main focus. I need to make decisions about my future and where I stand, and I also need to make decisions what's best for my family, like players do. So that's the reality of football, like I said, for me, my focus is to really finish off very strong here and have those discussions down the track later.
So he's probably told no lies there, Macca. There probably have not been any conversations that he's been involved with, at least, with the Wanderers, and he's done nothing to suggest that there won't be those conversations at some point. My cynical eye suggests that he is trying to leverage whatever he can to get an extension at Sydney FC while that's still a possibility. What do you think is happening here?
I think he signed a 3-year deal at Western Sydney. Look, there's no conversations have been had, not between him and the club, but probably maybe representatives.
Plausible deniability, they call that.
Exactly. And I agree 100% what he says. Okay, there's a big argument that you don't go to your direct rivals. Now, speak to anyone in football, players and coaches, and they'll say, if you've got a job offer on the table and there's a job there for you and it suits you, why wouldn't you take it? If that was the only, just say that's the only offer that Ufi gets for next season. Is he going to say, no, I can't go to West Sydney because I've been at Sydney where, by the way, they got booed last night after they lost their game to Melbourne City.
Yeah, and the fans don't want me.
And the fans are saying, Ufi out. So I'm not going to go to Western Sydney because I don't want to upset these people. I'll be unemployed instead. He's take the job. He's going to take the job. And he probably looks at that role as well and goes, gee, there's a lot of upside to this. You know, the Western Sydney are performing poorly. They're at the bottom of the table. I can turn this around. I can implement my way, and go in there and change things. And
many blokes have gone in there before and said the same thing.
100%. But also, a week after it happens, everyone else forgets about it and only gets brought up when the derby happens. So 3 times next year, they go, this is the ex-Sydney coach, it's a big rivalry here. The next week, they're playing someone else and no one cares.
And it goes back to the discussion I think we had a few months ago when, the likes of Ryan Teague joined Melbourne City and people were talking about that. And, like players, coaches can only choose from the options they've got. So, you can criticise the if he does end up going there, you can criticise the fact that he's gone there. But like Macca said, if that's his only option, what do you expect him to do in this industry?
And I guarantee you, when we look at Paddock Norbo, I know he was starting to do well, but if he didn't leave, I bet Melbourne Victory fans, if he would have went on and won titles, they would have went, he used to be with them, but now he's one of us.
Yeah.
If Ufi goes in there and does well, I'm guaranteed there's Western Sydney supporters now who are like, we don't want Ufuk Talay, he's a Sydney coach. If he goes there and wins them trophies, all of a sudden, he's the Messiah of the West.
Yep.
It's times like these when I just wish our league was a little bit bigger so that we didn't have to worry so much about these things, about rivalries and crossing the lines and all that sort of stuff. But it is what it is. That's Australian football as it stands. So we'll see what happens with Ufuk Talay and those Wanderers rumours in time. For now, let's talk a little bit about the other thing that came out of last night's game is Rhyan Grant playing game 400 for Sydney FC. And I think we need to appreciate this is probably never going to happen again.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, if another player comes through who's Rhyan Grant's quality as he was between the ages of 20 to 24, let's say, in today's league, the way it's set up and the way that clubs are geared for transfers, etc., and also the way that most young players' minds are geared too, they want to go.
Yeah.
The next Rhyan Grant doesn't stay at one club, doesn't play 400 games. This is crazy.
Well, we spoke to him, didn't we, on Kicking Back the other week, and we asked him why didn't he go overseas, and he said there was a multitude of reasons, but there were opportunities that came up, didn't quite suit him at the time. He got injured at other times. The club looked after him. He said this was a two-way street. When people say, it's super loyal to be here for 18 years, he said, but there was times when he was down and thought he was out with injuries and not doing well, and the club backed him. So it wasn't just a one-way street. The club looked after him. That loyalty was there, and you're right. I do believe right now, if a player like him came through, he would be gone in 18 months, 2 years. Yeah. And everyone would be going, well done, great move. You've got out of there. But you're right. I don't think this will happen again. He is an absolute legend of the league. He's won everything. He scores with his nipple.
Is there every haircut person in Australian football who's got a bad thing to say about him? That's the other thing.
No. Well, how could you, though?
Well, that's the thing.
Seriously, he's the nicest guy in the world.
It's
he
true.
just gets on with his job. You've never really seen it. Even when he's made mistakes in the game and he's maybe done a bad tackle, later on he comes out and goes, that's a bad one, I'm sorry. Like, he never he's one of those lovable characters that no one cannot like him.
Yeah.
And I think it's also worth saying, like, early in his A-League career, when I was coming through at the same time, there probably only was like 18, 20 games a season. So to accumulate 400 speaks about the longevity that he's had. And with a few ACLs as well, he's been a mainstay in their starting lineup now for so long. And when he eventually does go on to leave or retire, or whatever happens, I'm sure, hopefully a while down the track, but it's going to be weird seeing Sydney FC without him there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agree, boys. Let's have a look at the ladder as things stand at the moment after 21 rounds. As we see here, the title race, as we spoke about before, it's a two-horse race. Everything else is pretty tight, though. So I'm pretty excited to see the way things shake out in the next few weeks. I think those middle three, Sydney, Victory, Adelaide, anything can happen between those.
Yep.
I think you shuffle this pack and we're going to get a pretty good first week of finals, I would have thought.
Yep.
And then coming up here, we've also got the fixtures for the weekend coming up as well, which I'm really looking forward to, boys. What tickles your fancy from this selection now, Thomas?
I think Victory against the Mariners. Victory will have third place in their sights, obviously after Sydney FC losing last night. And the Mariners now, they're going to be thinking, we almost have to be perfect now with Melbourne City, hot on our heels to make the six. And it's 7 or 8 now they're undefeated now, the Mariners in a row, because they're obviously on a great streak.
8.
But they've been drawing a lot of the games too. And, if Melbourne City, who have a pretty favourable draw that you spoke about earlier, Macca, towards the back end of the season, start to get wins, they're going to have to convert some of those draws to wins even to stay in the six, I think.
Yeah. For me, I can't go past the Newcastle-Sydney game.
That's going to be a cracker.
Yeah, it's going to be massive. Like we said, Auckland's just opened this big can of worms by beating Newcastle last week. I just think that's going to be an epic match.
Yeah. The late Sunday night game as well, Perth Glory, Melbourne City. I just look at that fixture and I just can't see any reason why City aren't winning that, by the way. So
Banana skin there.
Yeah.
Big banana skin.
Yeah.
We've seen Perth with Auckland as well. Auckland just can't beat Perth in the last few times they've played, and they just seem to get up for those big games.
We'll see. For some reason, we've been asked to do predictions again, which always seems to go well. Whether we're predicting individual player awards, the way the ladder's going to be, games and all that. Well, I mean, we always nail this stuff, which is, I think, why they keep asking us to do it. So we've gone through a thingo, I guess is the technical term for it, where you put in all the results for the rest of the season and you see what the ladder looks at the end of it. Tommy, you're going first.
Yep. So for me, I have Newcastle just hanging on by the skin of their teeth in first place, and Melbourne City, getting into the six. I think of all the reasons we've discussed in terms of Melbourne City's favourable draw, the Mariners not doing a lot wrong. I think, from the Mariners down, there's a bit of an island there. I think the Mariners and Wellington, there was a bit of a points difference when I did it, but I think the Mariners are going to be a little bit unlucky to miss out.
You'd hate to be Sydney in that first week of finals then, because that's a real...
Oh, yeah, and their record, which, Macca, you spoke about on air last night, against Melbourne City is awful.
They haven't beat them in the A-League since December 2022.
Yeah, wow.
Actually, when I said it, I had to look at my notes again because I went, it can't be right. That's like 3.5 years ago, but it's true.
Yeah. Macca,
Yes.
what have you come up with?
Good question.
Not much.
Yeah, well, if you look at my tips every week, this is going to be nothing like what it's going to end up at the end. But I've somehow contrived that Auckland are going to pip the Jets against what every neutral apparently wants. And I've got Melbourne City sneaking in above the Central Coast Mariners. Now that it's in their hands, Melbourne City, I think that win against Sydney really changed the trajectory of that, and they're going to sneak into the six. And then from third to sixth, don't ask me who's going to win those games in the playoffs, because I do not have a clue.
Yeah. Well, neither do I, which is why I'm pleased to present my predictions of the ladder. Look, it's already a little bit out of date because I think this was predicated on Sydney FC winning 2-1 against Melbourne City last night, so it's already wrong. But, to change that result and maybe Melbourne City jump in over the Mariners. But I've got Newcastle at the top there. And I don't know if that was more head or heart in terms of me going through the results and just like what's going to happen here. The ultimate answer is I have no idea because this league is insane. Yeah. And every time I try and act like I know what is going to happen, it slaps me in the face.
Well, I found that really hard when you're going through 5 weeks of fixtures and going, the score will be this in this game. And then you go, they've won a 3 there. So they've got to drop points here. And you're like, but they really should win that. Yeah, I found it really difficult, and as you see, we're probably all totally wrong.
I found myself going with a lot of 2-1 results throughout. I don't know what.
Really tight.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the beauty of the league this year that it's so hard because people can beat everyone. It's so tight. It's really good.
That's why it's the greatest league in the world. By the time this comes out, we may have a Socceroos squad. I think it's likely to happen on Thursday, if not Friday. This is Tony Popovic's squad for the March friendlies against Cameroon and Curacao, the last ones that will be played in Australia before the World Cup later this year. For us, I guess the interesting question is how many players from the A-League are going to make it, and in what positions is Popper looking at potentially new blood? That question was asked to Thomas Sorensen on the A-League Download this week, and this is what he had to say.
No, for me, I think it definitely has to be Max Burgess. I think he's been tremendous. I think he's been a revelation moving to that 6. You know, he shows leadership, he shows steel, but also he's quite nippy with the ball. You know, he's well aware of the space around him, and you know, I think is a massive factor in Newcastle being, you know, stable, and it allows that front 4 to really go and drive on, because he sits there and orchestrates it. So, you know, he's probably for me the one that probably is the top of the list, I think, to get a call up.
Thoughts, boys? I don't disagree, but I think, as we mentioned briefly before, who comes out of the squad to make way for him? It's really hard.
That's the difficult thing. When you're starting to look at players in the A-League and you go, oh, that player, this player, but then when you actually go account back and look at all the players who are playing in those positions overseas, then that's when you start to think, oh, are they really a chance or not? But if you're just going to look at bare-faced performers in the A-League, Max Burgess is one. You could look across a lot of the Newcastle Jets players and say that they'd be a shout because they're doing
Clayton
so
Taylor,
well.
for sure.
Clayton Taylor.
Eli.
But Max Burgess has been a revelation in that position. And I think he's been revitalised, and we've seen a different side to him this year. I think we've always had this picture of Max Burgess as this pretty technical player. We'll drift in and out of games. We'll do something brilliant, but then you'll go, oh, 30 minutes later, oh, he's back in the game again. Not anymore. This guy is a battler. He works hard. He's willing to win the ball, but he still has that technical ability to pick a pass, to get them going forward. And at the bare face of it, if he got picked, you wouldn't be saying, oh, that's an outrage.
Yeah. No, I agree. I do think... I can't see him getting picked in a Tony Popovic squad, though, being a bit of a sceptic, because you look at his profile, and he's obviously, you know, Newcastle play a very expansive style, and he's central to that with his technical ability. But Popovic doesn't play that style. I think his midfielders are much more combative. You know, the likes of Jackson Irvine throws himself about. I just think that that's going to work against him in that kind of role. But I think Clayton Taylor and Eli Adams, they have been absolutely standouts for Newcastle this whole season. Clayton Taylor, a little bit of an injury concern. No one knows too much about how serious it is, but I mean, his ability and his end product that he has, not many young Aussie players have.
Yeah, and I think actually there might be more opportunities in the wide and forward positions in this squad, because there's obviously an injury crisis when it comes to strikers at the moment, and Popper has said that he might be looking at some of the players who play in those wide positions to audition as a number 9 in this window, which suggests to me that maybe there are opportunities in those spots that might open up, and here's a good one, Matt.
Yeah, Clayton and Eli Adams. I'd also throw in a late charge, and it's a very much a spec. He is Marcus Eunice. I think it's probably his runs too late, but I think potential going forward, he might be good to have in the squad. If I'm going to be honest, the real one that Tommy and I have spoken about off air is, I think, Nathaniel Atkinson with that right back position.
This is the other problem position. Basically,
when we go away from these guys are doing well, but let's look at the actual positions where there really is a chance. I think he is coming good at the right time. I think he's been before. Yeah. He's got experience. He is a real smoky now that I think could be brought into the squad. And the fact that he likes to get forward and get back, he's versatile.
He's a Tony Popovic player to me too. Yeah. He has all the makings of doing well under Popper. So I would love to see it.
Yeah.
We'll see. One player who will not be in the squad, however, boys, Adrian Segecic, who made the decision over the weekend to switch his international allegiance from Australia to Croatia, which, let's be honest, pretty deflating, pretty disappointing news, Mako. I think we're all looking forward to, at some point in the future, when this guy was going to be wearing the Socceroos jersey. I don't think it's going to happen now.
No, look, I think it's an opportunity missed, and do we ever think that, or did we think that he would get into the squads now and go, he should be starting? No, but he's done this coming off the bench for Sydney, and now he's doing it in the Championship, which is one of the better leagues in the world. And he's coming on, changing games, scoring goals, changing the complexion of matches for his team. He could have done that for the Socceroos. Now, I've got no problems. You know, players have different allegiances and they can choose what they want. But I do think this was a real opportunity loss. He is an exceptional talent, and I just think when you go back a number of years ago and you had Daniel Azani went into the squad because he might have been able to do something when he was young for 10 minutes off the bench. He's another one where I think when the game's 1-0 down or 0-0, can he come on and spark something? 100% he could have been that player.
And you can't help but feel like had Popper, thrown him a bone and give him a cameo off the bench for the Socceroos in one of those friendly games where he was called in, then he wouldn't have made this decision.
That's him asking for it right there, by the way.
And you can criticise his mindset or how his heart wasn't in it and all those things, but at the end of the day, he's a brilliant footballer. And I think had he been given the opportunity to get on the field, which at one time I personally thought he deserved, I think this doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. We don't know exactly what has happened between Popper and Segecic that has led to this situation. Clearly, though, Sega is the kind of player who wants to feel wanted more, and Popper is a little bit standoffish in that way and likes to keep his players on tenterhooks, whether that's his way works for a lot of players, but it doesn't work for some players.
Yeah.
And he also refuses to sell the shirt, whatever the definition of selling the shirt is, in terms of the Socceroos jersey. A lot of other countries seem to be able to do that to some degree. Croatia seem to be selling their shirt to Sega. And
the selling the shirt thing, I'm not really on board with that, because wasn't he over in Italy recently trying to get someone or chat to someone to maybe play for Australia instead of Italy?
Popper's argument with that one, and he got asked about it last week, was that they had first received indication from Christian Volpato that he was open to playing for Australia, so then they went there.
He was open, not wanted to. I'm open to it.
Yeah, so they went and had a discussion with him about it.
But Sega was also open and didn't get on the pitch.
Look, once again, 100%. We weren't there in these conversations between
exactly.
Volpato and Popper, so it's hard to say.
And you can't criticise Popper either. You don't know the dynamics of those conversations.
All I can say is from Adrian Segecic's perspective, if I saw that, and again, I didn't know all the details, and then I also saw some of the other players who've been called up and played under Tony Popovic for the Socceroos during the last 12, 18 months, I could understand why he might feel a little bit miffed that he hasn't played more, or at least made to feel a greater part of what is being planned than he was.
He won the Golden Boot last year. Let's not forget that. There's not many players that have come through and won the Golden Boot mostly off the bench. Like, that is a remarkable effort, and it speaks volumes as to what you were saying about his ability to come on and change a game. And I agree. I think that's something that the Socceroos could have used, but wasn't to be. And Popper's going to have some pressure on him to kind of fill that void, and I'm sure he's got someone in mind.
Yeah. The thing about this is, though, it's not going to go away, this general topic, because we live in one of the most multicultural countries, and in international football, the number of players who play at the World Cup for a country other than the one they were born in is increasing and is not going to slow down.
And let's be honest, we've benefited more from this than we've lost from
Harry
it.
Sutar.
There's a whole lot.
Graham Arnold used to sell the shirt to these blokes.
Yeah.
They're not coming over unless you sell it to them. Harry Sutar.
Yeah, Martin Boyle,
Wish I could have bought a shirt.
Very good, very good. All right, let's launch into some quick hits to finish off, boys. And we'll start with Juan Mata. It just seems to be nothing that he can't do. He's also organising set pieces here and telling blokes where to stand and what they should do it.
Yeah.
And it comes off.
It comes off to a T. Stand there, hold him out the way, and I'll play it into you, and then you notch it on, and then we'll score a goal. Yep, awesome. And then watch him here. I love the reaction after it goes in and he comes back and said, see, I told you, just do what I say.
And he only gave MacArthur's defence 25 minutes notice. I'm surprised.
I told you, get in front, stand there. Yeah, and I told everyone, but we still did it. So, yeah, mate, he's on fire, isn't he?
Yeah. The guy's a genius. And I just, sorry Wanderers fans, but every time I see it, sorry, I don't want to bring it up every time, but I feel like I have to. Tommy, pre-match huddle's a waste of time. We are asking this because, I don't know if you saw on the weekend in the Premier League, I think it was a Chelsea game, a referee was caught in the middle of one for some reason. And, what actually goes on there?
Yeah, I've never really thought about it until this question was posed to me, and to be honest, not much. Like, the coach does his whole spiel before you go on the field, and that's kind of the meaningful thing where you might get a last piece of information or something. Like, I don't really understand the purpose of it. It's more just a cultural thing or just...
Depends on the characters too. I remember sometimes you'd be in the huddle and one person, like the captain or the leader of the group, would be going, yeah, come on, guys, go on. And you'd look up and there'd be two guys just laughing, like looking at each other, laughing. And you're like, oh, OK, everyone's getting whatever they need out of this.
Yeah. So, no, to answer your question, no idea what its purpose is.
Last thing we're going to touch on, boys, is the Matildas into the Asian Cup final here in Sydney on Saturday night. I'm excited. Like,
100%.
Huge.
There's an opportunity for us to win a major tournament, a major trophy, 15 minutes away from my house on Saturday night. Just how good. There's a reason why we always try and host these major tournaments. It's because these moments, and I'm really hoping it obviously finishes positively for Australia, but if it does, it's going to be one of those all-time where were you nights. I'm pretty pumped about it.
Yeah, and we've been speaking about we think this is the best Matildas and Socceroos shirts there are, so it'd be great to see them lift that trophy in one of those strips. But you've done it, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I was on the bench, so I played as much.
Don't play it down. You were there, mate.
Yeah, no, it was great. Obviously awesome. You know, the memories of that kind of will stay with me forever. You know, the full stadium, the occasion was awesome, and I'm sure that they'll have the whole country behind them, so it's going to be a great night for them. But Sam Kerr, I've got to say, what a goal in the semi-final, and you just can't help but feel like she's going to play a big role in the final.
How many other players are scoring that goal as well, by the way?
There was no way she was finishing from there. I was like, oh, Sam. Yes, Sam.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Very good. We'll check out Dub Zone for more analysis of that game coming up on this weekend. And for now, that's it from us. Thank you, boys. Good to be back.
Yep.
I think I'm back. I don't know. I don't know what day it is. But we'll see you next week on Total A-League.